Nande ati koni liko bafara sila. Imaje kano batale bendera. Nande ati koni liko bafara sila. Kodiliko salamane. Nandele nakano bata.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to Gunjuru News Online for another edition of COVID 19 daily updates. Yesterday was World Ozone Day, and we are celebrating World Ozone Day today. And inshallah, should have Famara Drammeh on the show to present something to commemorate this day. But as usual, we are right in the middle of a major pandemic, which is COVID-19. So I'll give you the update about COVID-19, which continue to ravage our world. You know, the numbers might be coming down in Europe and other part of the world, but in South America, which is now the epicenter, the numbers are going up, and even in America, the overall numbers are coming up, even though the previous epicenters like New York City, they are recovering. In South, they start opening their economies. But other part of the world, this virus continue to ravage, and numbers continue to increase. So basically, what I will do before Famara comes, I will give you the current updates of COVID-19 as of today, 9th of June. This virus, as you all know, started in Brazil, in China, in December 2019, towards the end of the year, and since then 7,262,312 people got infected, and out of that 411,008 people died. That's about 7 to 8% mortality rate, and for virus that is really nasty. And the number of people who recovered so far is 3,575,536. And I'll remind you, these recovered population are going to be very useful in our understanding of for our defense against the virus, and also the pathology of the virus. And also it will help us to treat people with active COVID-19 infection. Right now, countries like the UK are treating COVID-19 patients with the plasma, that is the liquid component of the recovered people blood. You know, technically, if you take the liquid component of the blood of somebody who recovered from COVID-19 and give it to somebody who is currently having COVID-19, he should be cured. And the reason behind that is that when we are infected with a pathogen, our bodies mount a defense mechanism against that particular virus or bacteria or any other pathogen or poison. And these particular protein are specially programmed, and even if you recover, they will stay in your system for some time. And how long they stay in your blood, you know, it varied with the kind of infection you have. So technically, if you give the recovered person's blood to somebody who is suffering from COVID-19, they should recover. Okay, currently number of people with COVID-19 infection is like 3,275,775, and out of that, 98% of that total, that's 3,221,791 people in mild conditions. And those in mild conditions, some of them are asymptomatic. That means they are showing no sign of sign of the infections, but a large number of them will have, you know, some headache and sore throat, and also persistent cough is very, very consistent. Currently, number of people with seriously ill or critical condition of COVID-19 is 53,984. As we all know, COVID-19 um, do attack the lungs. So once lungs is damaged, the the victim struggle for air. That's what one of the characteristics of COVID-19 serious infection is, shortness of breath. You gasp for air. So once these people arrive in the hospital, what they do, they are mainly admitted at the intensive care units, where they will be fitted with mechanical ventilators to help them breathe. So also, it doesn't matter how ill one is. If you are if you one is, you still need air and you still need energy, so they are supplied with glucose and also water. You're going to need it at all times. So I'm going to give you the top 10 most affected countries COVID-19. Past 24 hours, there are 71,865 new cases. So this virus is saying no sign of slowing down. 71,865 new cases and 2,768 dead across the world. America recorded 7,506 new cases past 24 hours and 434 dead. Brazil recorded 8,562 new cases and 528 dead. UK recorded 1,741 and 286 dead. And Spain, they recorded 249 new cases. The dead is no dead recorded. And India recorded 8,522 new cases, 234 dead. Italy recorded 284 and 79 dead. Peru, which is also now in the top 10 most affected countries, the numbers are not yet in, but Germany recorded 256 new cases, 29 dead, and Iran recorded 2,095 new cases and 74 dead. So countries that are very close to the Gambia, Senegal, past 24 hours recorded Jammeh initiative this commentation. Thank you, Jammeh Bojang. Senegal recorded 4,516 so far, but past 24 hours alone, they recorded 89 new cases. And Guinea recorded 4,216 new cases, and Ivory Coast 3,881. Guinea-Bissau recorded 1,089 so far cases, and Mali now 1,586 and 39 new cases. Burkina Faso so far recorded 891, and Sierra Leone past 24 hours they recorded 24 new cases. So that is the update about COVID-19. Now I'm going to go to the main topic before Famara arrives. I think he's running late. So we premiered a video yesterday about the pollution in Gunjur Beach, which was directly caused by the waste that is being dumped into our ozone on daily basis by Golden Lead Fish Mill Factory. The minister will tell you the water is safe, is clean, but nothing is far from the truth. As you all know, fish mill waste, fish is naturally very, very rich in protein. And we all know the two major building components of protein is nitrogen, phosphate, and These nitrogen phosphate are the two main components of artificial fertilizers as well. So if you dump fish meal waste into a water body, is equivalent to dumping artificial fertilizers into the water bodies. So if the water body is not great, this will cause eutrophication, that will encourage excessive growth of algae, and these algae will eventually die and sink to the bottom of the water. And as that happens, that will deplete the oxygen supply at the bottom of the water, and eventually it become anoxic. That means very, very little oxygen. But that anoxic condition doesn't necessarily mean there is no life. There are other microorganisms that didn't need oxygen to grow, so they will bloom. Um, they will bloom, yeah, and that's what we show in May 2017 and also May 2019, when the river or the lagoon next to the Golden Lead Fish Meal Factory turned blood red. That is as a result of overgrowth of red algae that overwhelm the water. But if the same waste that is being dumped into the ocean is a slightly different, even though their eutrophication will occur and will have this algae bloom, but the color might not be as manifest as in the lagoon where the water body is not great. So, but what will be visible in the ozone is excessive growth of seaweed. And we've seen in that video, these dead seaweeds end up being washed on the sea. And in the case of Gunjur, is directly adjacent to the factory where they're actually dumping these fish meal waste. And the height of this washing of the seaweed to the shore, at some point they are as thick as 2 meters deep. You know, as thick as 2 meters deep, and it was filthy, smelly. Even the locals, nobody want to go into the sea, much more the tourists. So these make Gunjur beach almost unswimmable, and the Sanyam beach is also the same. What similar thing is happening there, and also the Karton beach. And from Karton, or I can say from Tujereng to Karton, this place, the previous regime reserved this place for ecotourism, and we have foreign national invest heavily in foreign in ecotourism in these areas. So basically, what these fish mill factories does, it seriously damage the the yeah, Omar, let me send you the link. Jammeh, if you are watching, can you send the link to me to Omar, please? And Famara, I think I sent you the link yesterday. That's what I thought. Yeah. So Omar will come. Sorry, guys. Give me just a minute, and I will just send Omar this link, and then we'll continue from there. Thank you.
Go,
Yeah, sorry guys, sorry about that. So I actually thought I sent my just links, but unfortunately I don't. I've been so busy these days. Yeah. Anyway, Omar is here. Omar, we welcome. Hello, Omar. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. I actually thought I sent you guys this link. Unfortunately, I didn't. I've been so busy these days. Yeah. Anyway, Omar is here. Omar, we welcome.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be back again on Gunjur Online Radio.
Yeah, Omar, welcome to Gunjur News Online. Can you hear me? I can hear you clearly. I actually thought I sent you guys this link. Unfortunately, I didn't.
Yeah.
You can hear me, right?
Sorry, I think the problem is here because I have two screens with me. Let me just disconnect the other one.
Yeah, that's why it's. Omar, welcome. Sorry, guys, about this. Yeah, so I was. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Hello. Okay, so welcome to Bunyul News Online. And to our esteemed viewers, my sincere apologies. I was supposed to have two guests, but I didn't send them the link to join the conversation. So yesterday was World Ozone Day, but unfortunately we couldn't bring the program on the very day because we have another conversation yesterday. So we are actually commemorating World Ozone Day today. So I was talking about a video we premiere on this platform yesterday. If you don't see it, please go and watch it. You will be horrified. The state of Gunjur Beach, that was that picture was taken about April 2019 by a United Nations researcher. It depicts the effect of continued dumping of fish meal waste, which I just explained. This is highly proteinaceous well, and also there is blood, there is tissue. And whenever there is a blood, there is tissue, there is a protein material. If we put it in water, it have a very, very high oxygen demand, what they call biochemical oxygen demand. What that does is it sucks up oxygen around that particular environment, and all the marine life around that particular environment will die. And also, two major components of protein are nitrogen and phosphate, which when you put it in water is is equal to like putting fertilizer into the water. So what that does in the ozones, it encourages unregulated growth of the seaweed. And we've seen this seaweed, tons of it in Gunjur, and we've seen it in Sanyang, we've seen it in Khartoum. So this seaweed, it smells, it's not very pretty to even look at it, much more to swim in it. So what that hub does is the tourists that normally frequent those beaches, they all stay away. So that's the economic effect of this continued dumping of fish meal waste into our oceans. And as we sit here, celebrate another year of World Ozone Day, I have for you Omar. Omar is an environmentalist by activist and also by training, and hope Famara also will give. Omar, welcome to another edition of World Environment Day on Gunjuri News Online.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be back again for us to at least raise the awareness or have a discussion about the importance of World Ozone Day, a day which was first officially recognized in 1992 in Canada at the International Center for Ozone Development, and as well as the Ozone Institute for Canada, OIC, at the Earth Summit in 1992, that they want all parties to work hand in glove to ensure that they protect, conserve, and restore the seared ozone. Because if you look at the ozone from time immemorial, also plays an important role in terms of like the livelihoods of nations, It provides a good source of income for them in terms of their GDP. It supports the local people in terms of their opportunities for job creation, and as well as most of the development projects, in some part of Africa are beach situated. I like look at along the coastline, along the west coast, along the ocean. If you look at it from a climate change point of view, also it's one of the main supporting contributing factor or main element that is able to sink the major CO2 emission from the Earth surface. So it's a very important thing that we are discussing today, and I hope we can be able to engage our audience down there. They can throw questions to us here, and then we can also answer. We'll get back to them with those feedbacks. So this is an important day, because if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, life in the water is particularly talking about the ocean, because of what the important it has. We are not only going to protect the marine resources, but what are going to be some of the important economic activities of protecting the oceans? How do we sustainably harvest the marine resources? How do we ensure we provide the food need of the people that are the coastal communities, but not only those are the coastal communities, but those in the hinterland of our countries too? How can we have like transboundary ocean management or ocean governance programs that is kind of sustainable of meeting the needs of the present generation without not compromising the need of the future generation? So this is a very important day. The day was observed globally yesterday, which is on the 8th of June, but due to some reasons beyond our own control, we are able to come back today to discuss with our audience about this important particular day.
Okay, guys. Omar, thank you very much for that brief introduction. Um, just to remind our viewers, if you want to get involved, if you want to take part in this discussion, you can call plus 2209433 So, Omar, this year's team, I think you are familiar with it.
Yeah, this year's team, I think if I could remember, it's like our ocean, our future.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm encouraging girls to actually call and take part. And I've seen kids in Gunjur, which is very, very encouraging, because this is what we want to achieve. They went to the beach and cleaned the beach. And also, while doing that, they also observing social distancing, and they also managed to pay their tribute to George Floyd. So this is the purpose of these discussions. We've been doing this for like a couple of years now, but what is encouraging, the message is actually getting to the target group, the target audience we like. So we don't have to encourage these kids anymore. They all know what is expected of them in days like this. They can go and do and initiate something that will benefit the world, and it will also preserve our ozones for generations to come. But Omar, I'm not sure if you see the statement from these small artisanal pieces, the statement they put out there, their fears. Like during this, and this was in Senegal, there was an application from 60 um, fishing trawlers, 60 fishing trawlers. They think that number is too much, and I don't think our ozones have been ever been so overfished. What do you think? What do you think the effect of these fish meat factories we are seeing across West Africa is going to have in our long-term effect of the health of our ozones?
Well, but before we even talk about the health of our ozone, okay, the health of our ozone is like they're gonna seriously undermine the fish population, the fish stock population, because once we give more consensus license, we give them the permit, we give them the go ahead for them to go and do the fishing. Even if we actually knew there's not that much abundant fish stock in the ozone for them to go and catch, what is going to happen is like it's going to be a major pressure on the fish population, on the fish stock, for the population to bounce back. Because we all knew that, sometimes, we make the policies back home in Africa, we make like certain kind of regulations, but they are not strictly implemented, they are not strictly, adhered. In the simple sense that if you look at during the rainy season in the Gambia from June, July, August, all the way to September, this is the time whereby most of the fish populations will, do their breeding. This is like the breeding season. We have like, the close sea season during that time. But how many fishing boats adhere to that closed sea season? How many governments adhere to those kind of protocols? So if we allowed, a huge number of fishing vessels to go into the water, who is down there to put the checks and balances, who is down there to police these people? So the major pressure down here is going to be like on the fish population, but not only on the fish population. We have like highly ecological sensitive species in the ocean. We have like the sea turtles. They comes offshore during the rainy season to do their nesting. They're gonna get entangled into those fishing trawlers, their nets. We have like cetaceans like the whales and the dolphins. What is gonna be the potential encounter of those highly ecological species in terms of getting entangled into the fishing nets? Who is down there to provide at least a zone that you can go to this particular part of our ocean to do the fishing down there, and then let's allow this particular area to thrive, and from there we can allow you guys to at least move from zone A, zone B, zone C to do the fishing across those kind of policy dimensions. So I just have a glimpse of what the Greenpeace International in Dakar just published a couple of hours ago before I just came online. And it's very, very shocking that over 50 fishing trawlers want to have a license to operate in Senegalese water. This is not going to be like in Senegalese water alone. If there is no strong monitoring and then policy enforcement and then regulations in most of the African countries, there is a potential likelihood that some of the fishing trawlers might go beyond the national territory of Senegal to go down to like some of the sub-Saharan African countries. So that's going to put a major pressure on not only on the fish population, but it's also going to undermine the local livelihood of what people are going to need. Because most of the time, the industrial fishing vessels we have in the African coast, they are not down there to serve the food need of the local population, but they are down there to serve the food need of what the established industries, sometimes in Europe, sometimes in Asia, and sometimes even in American countries, whereby once they do the fishing in the African waters, they will go and then disembark that fish catch in some of their industries around the globe. So which is going to undermine not only the local nutritional need of these coastal communities, but also the local, artisanal fishing industry, and as well as some of the local individuals who are engaged in fish trade and fish business in Africa.
Yeah, Omar, thank you very much for that brief introduction. We are in the middle of a major pandemic and we are celebrating World Ozone Day. And when we talk about ozones, the last thing on average people's mind is, you know, is health. But the health of the ozone is intricately linked with our general health, and you'll not believe it, but one of the key ingredients we use now to test, to quickly test if somebody have COVID-19 or not, is from the ozones. Right at the depth of the ozone, there is this vent called hydrothermal vents, where the temperature will go over 100 degrees. But even at that location, there are microorganisms that are living there. And because of their ability to live at a temperature of 100 or above, we use that the enzyme they have. Those are the enzymes we extract and use in the polymerase kinase, or what we call PCR, to detect DNA of human beings and also bacteria and also viruses. So, and also ozones act as our lungs. We have to know that, just like the forest, they generate lot of oxygen, and that oxygen is what we breathe. And the more oxygen we have in the atmosphere, the cooler it is. And that's why people who live around the combos, it doesn't matter how hot the sun is. When it's after 2, you see the sea breeze coming, and everybody will know, well, that's Bafonyo coming. This is the fresh, unadulterated oxygens. And also ozones, as Omar said, about the food, they are the major providers of proteins. Like the case of the Gambia, before the advent of these fish meal factories, most people rely on fish for their protein supply, and it is like that across the world. And he just mentioned about 60 fishing trawlers, which all want to go into the sea to have this protein, which is the fish. So it's very, very important for every year once at least to come here and remind ourselves and each other the importance of ozone to our health and to our wealth and to our well-being in general. And that's why keeping them healthy, keeping them clean, and also make sure they are not overfished is supposed to be a policy issue for all the governments across the world. So Omar, you might continue. That's my the health
Yes.
link with.
Yeah,
Sorry, one more
other
thing.
than that, the sea breed talk about, if you look at oceans also, and then the life within the oceans, they absorb at least a quarter, standards say, at least a quarter, some might even say about 50% of the CO2 we emit on the earth. They absorb
Yeah.
that one so it will not release into the atmosphere. They help us to reduce the amount of CO2 on the Earth's surface by protecting us from global warming. So if you look at it, if we want to talk about climate change mitigation here, we want to reduce the CO2 loading into the Atlantic, into the ocean. But we also want to look at, like, let's say, like, we want to do like tree planting, reforestation project, and all of those stuff. But one major important aspect here, they don't only serve us with food. If you look at, like, the CO2 that they are able to absorb, that is not going to potentially go into the Earth's atmosphere. It's something very, very, very good, because if you look at, like, most of the coastal communities in Africa, they are located at a close proximity to the coastline. So once the mean sea level happen to rise, like, let's say 1 meters in the country, a particular country like the Gambia, Senegal, and most countries, that is going to be a major disaster for some of these countries here. So if you want to talk about protecting the particular ocean, you want to look at things from all these thematic areas, from food and nutritional point of view, from climate change point of view, from the life that they support, because they support, like, what they call the plankton, the shellfishes, and as well as the coral reefs, and all of those cells, they contain the skeletal part of them, they contain what they call the calcium carbonate. So all of those things, if we want to destroy all that life, because we load too much of CO2, we load too much of nitrogen into the particular ocean down there, that is going to be another major impact towards climate. Because once the bubbles in that particular water, the CO2 bubbles in the climate in water tend to rise, that might lead to coastal inundation. It might lead to, like, flood in some part of Africa. It might also lead to at least ecological collapse in the ocean. So these are some of the very, very important things that we need to discuss, because that was a scientific research conducted some time ago by Professor Jaiteh at University of Gambia with some other researchers. And all what they have identified is, if you look at it from Fajar all the way from Bunyadu in Nyame, coming down to Banjul, coming down to Fajar, all the way to Khartoum, most of the coastal communities are low-lying. So there's a high risk of, like, sea level rise. So if the sea happens to rise for, like, 1 meter above this normal sea level, that is going to be a major impact. And then they're estimating, like, they put what they call, like, estimation, money value, about $730 million worth of destruction is expected to emerge from a sea level rise in a small country like the Gambia. And most of the part of Banjul will be subjected to that kind of impact. So if we talk about our ozone, our future, we are not only looking at things like what does the ozone offer us in terms of food and nutrition, but what are some of the natural disasters that can also be attributed to ozone conservation. If we effectively manage our ozone, if we have all these countries around the world to effectively conserve and protect their ozone, what are going to be some of the economic benefits we're going to drive? But not only that, but social aspect also, what can our people also drive from that conservation effort?
Yeah, Omar,
And at all
thank you
these
very
things,
much.
we need the government.
Omar, I just want you to just elaborate a little bit about the sea level rise, and also how do you equate that, and the sand mine is still continue. I think you've seen the video of that also. In Gunjur, at some point, it's less than 10 meters between the dunes and the sea. What do you think is the long-term effect of that on our ozones?
Yes, because if you look at sea level rise, the ice caps in the Antarctica are melting. You look at some other part of the world, the CO2 load into the Atlantic Ocean, into the Pacific Ocean, to major oceans around the world is just enormous. So it's about time people try to, like, understand the dynamics of, like, the human actions on the earth, and how does that affect the marine, ecosystem, the oceans down there. So if you talk about the case, about the issue of coastal sand mine in Africa, precisely in the Gambia, it's a major issue. Places like Ghana, they have stopped it forthwith. They have stopped coastal sand mining in Ghana. So I think this is where Gambia also have to try to, like, at least have a policy dialogue, focus our attention on this particular area. Because if you look at ozone, if you look at sand dunes along the coastline of Gambia. They protect the geomorphology of the coastline. They protect the coastal communities from sea level erosion, because once the sea level rise, once there's coastal erosion, those sand dunes are down there to protect the coastal community, to protect at least the marine ecosystem of not encountering high erosion rate. So once we mine the entire sand dunes, so once we excavate almost everywhere, we are subjecting ourselves to that, adverse climate or adverse, sea level rise impact for all the coastal communities in the Gambia. So the major impact is going to be in the next 20, 30, 40 years or 50 years. These are like projections. You project, because in terms of climate change, you can make your predictions, but you have to base most of your facts on projection. What is going to be the potential likely in the next 20, 30, 50 years to come? So what I'm saying right now is, if you take a clear example of Gunjur, you look at that in Bina, Bambambu, Nyaba, that area, it's just a matter of 20, 30, 40, 50 years, whether it's going to be my time, whether I'm dead or whether I'm going to be alive. Somebody's going to have that thing documented as part of history, that sea level rise is going to happen in that particular area. So the coastal sand dunes that can protect the geomorphology of that particular coastline, the sand dunes are no more there. So which means we are subjecting that entire coastline for erosion.
Yeah, that is scary prospect to even contemplate. And if you look at our the strength of our nations, we are resources limited. So if we should experience that kind of a rise in sea level, the effects could be devastating.
So what we should
Yeah,
be
thank you
thinking of
very
right now, what we should be thinking of right now, supposed to focus more on preemptive measures. How can we protect the remaining coastline of Gambia? How can we ensure we work on reducing process? How can we ensure that we embark on reforestation of the particular coastline to ensure at least the coastline, the entire Atlantic shoreline of Gambia is well protected? How can we put on beach nourishment project? How can we embark on let's say planting coconut trees? How can we put sea walls in case if there's any sea level rise in the Gambia? Because the sea, we're going to encounter that one. The sea level is always rising. There's coastal inundation, there's coastal erosion, there's all that thing happening in terms of the adverse pressure, that anthropogenic pressures that we human beings are subjecting our ozone to. So, instead of we work on trying to mitigate or address, some of the disasters we're going to encounter in the future, why not now we look at, what can we do right now? And then the major impact will be let's plant some coconut trees along the entire coastline of Gambia. Let's ensure that at least the remaining sand dunes in the Gambia are protected. If they are to be mined, let them be mined sustainably. Let there be a proportion towards the amount of sand that can be mined, and we leave some down there for, for the coastal protection. Places where it's going to be suitable or more applicable to at least erect seawalls, we can work on those kind of things too. Or if not, then we have trunks, what they call the tripods. These are concrete pillars. We have 4 or 5 legs. We can mount those ones in certain part of our coastlines, whereby they can serve as a catchment for some of the sand particles that are going to be thrown away or blown away when there's wind, erosion happening along the coastline. Can you hear me? So these are the most important thing that the world is going to right now. They want to have all the people that are party to the United Nations to be able to observe this particular important day, to have their hand on the desk to protect the ocean, because oceans are important component in terms of the life of Earth. They support us in terms of CO2 sequestration. They sink most of the CO2 that is emitted, so it is not going to affect the Earth, the Earth. The oceans also provide offshore wind potential. So if you go down some countries around the world, be it in the United States, in Australia, in some part of Asia, they are building offshore wind farms. So the offshore wind farm, from the tidal powers, from the waves coming from the ocean, they have this high potential to provide renewable energy source, whereby we can cut down our fossil fuels. And then this has helped governments to be able to at least minimize the amount of money that they at least pumped towards the energy industry, the energy sector, because oceans have this great significant source of also the fossil fuels, So with all that thing, offshore wind energy, the wind power, the wind farms in some part of the world have helped those countries also to at least generate a huge amount of proportion of renewable energy. So if we talk about the ozones, we are looking at things from food security. Yes, they provide food in terms of fish, which is a major source of protein for most individuals, for almost everyone. And then they also provide a good, sanctuary for the marine ecosystem. We talk about the whales, the dolphins, the coral reefs, the shellfish, all of those things, they live in the ocean. But then coastal communities also, if they don't adequately protect their oceans, if they don't adequately protect their oceans, there's a high chance that they're gonna run into the issue of food insecurity in terms of their protein needs. There's gonna be a high potential of also having issues related to coastal erosions. So all of those things are potential disasters that countries can expect in the future if there is too much anthropogenic factors of not protecting our oceans. So these are the most important thing. So what can we do as governments or as individuals or as civil society organizations, as NGOs? It's all about educating our people, educating the fisher folks, educating the government officials, and then be able to have that participatory approach of the way we protect our coastline, of the way we harvest our coastal resources. So these are some of the very important things. Yes, in some countries, they empower the local people, the fishermen, the fisher folks, to have what they call the collaborative co-management approach, whereby the fishermen and as well as the civil society organizations and in the government, they will work having a close partnership of having all these people making decisions to sustainably harvest their marine resources. If they also don't like the beach nourishment programs, beach conservation programs, they also encourage that they empower the people, because once they have that self-entitlement, that feeling of ownership, they participate and partake in conservation effort. This is why if you go down to Gambia, you go down to Gunju, you have the Gunju movement, you have some other environmental things, because they have that sense of self-ownership, realization that, what, we need to protect this particular area, because if there's sea level rise, if there is no, at least, adaptation methods here, it's going to be so much hard trying to protect our coastal community from erosion, or also land from erosion. So these are where we at least look at development aspiration, development initiative, whereby we need to empower the local people to also take part in protecting our coastal and marine resources.
Yeah, thank you, Omar, very much. I don't know how many slides you got, but I want us to use the last.
I don't have slides. I usually come off head like this,
Okay, because I want us to use the last 10 minutes. We still have 15 minutes.
So probably we can use that
to discuss about
for the audience to discuss about in the local language too. Probably if that might be something we might consider using the 10 minutes for.
No. I want us to use that to discuss about the video this Bahum guy did with the minister, because he thinks he's doing a good job for is it NPP? But the minister made some startling revelations there, which Gambians need to know, and we need to harp on it. That is, the Chinese contracted these fishing boats. So what that have done to the local fishmongers is that the Chinese have the first option. When the fish come, they have to go and supply the Chinese because they signed the contract. So if there is a leftover, that's what is left for the locals and the local market. So because what is left for the local market is so small, it makes this bunga out of reach of a common man, because what is happening right now, the Chinese also have fish processing plants that Gambians are not, we are not talking about that much. There is one we just discovered at Batukunku, but there is one also in Denton Bridge. So this is making the bigger fish more expensive. So traditionally, who are not eaters of these small fish now turn to the bonga fish. So that makes the bonga fish even more expensive now as well. So you can see a lot of people resort to chicken. Chicken is even more cheaper now than fish. That cannot be good for our economy. So I want your take on that particular, the politics and the environmentalists and this particular guy. What's your take?
Well, to be honest with the audience down there, when I look at that particular video, it took me 12 good hours. I was trying to process what is the position of the guy who took that video. Why did he went that far trying to politicize the effort that Gambian citizens are doing trying to protect or at least raise awareness about the issue related to the coastal and marine environment of the country. So has a potential political party or has a potential supporter of a political party, I think what they're supposed to do is how can they try to at least provide a secure livelihood source for the Gambian people? And if they want to do that one, the question that you're supposed to direct to the minister is like, what is the effort of the minister trying to provide food security for Gambian people? What is the effort of the minister trying to provide sustainable livelihood for the Gambian people? How do we ensure that yes, the people who have been like doing the local business, the local banners, the local fishmongers, the ones who do salt drying, are able to at least have that secure livelihood source for generations to come? Because before the arrival of the fish mill companies in the Gambia, we have people in Gunju, in Karton, in Sanya, in Badakunku, in Baka, in Banjul, who have at least made great success in fish business in the country. How do we empower those people? Let's not only empower our local banners just to go for a day business and then sell their fish into the market, but how do we ensure at least the issue of post-harvest loss? Because once they do overfishing, they cannot have the excess surplus being sold into the market. They have to dump into the water. What can the fisheries minister do to address those kind of issues? How can the fisheries minister work with the Gambian Coast Guard to protect and patrol the Gambian Ocean? This is supposed to be a type of question, but not trying to debunk or not trying to create a rivalry between the environmentalists in the country and as well as the fisheries ministry or with their political party. They have to focus on like how can the Gambian people have essential social service, meet their food and nutritional need, have secure employment opportunity in the country. So this was where I was trying to connect the dot. What was the stand of that particular individual when he was trying at least go and interview the minister?
Yeah, but you can.
Because I have watched documentaries which are like very independent covered in the country, whereby people go to places like the Madina Slime in Gunjur area to ask the local people in the community how much do they spend on buying fish, bunga fish in their community. And how does that particular transition changes? What are the pattern? What are some of the changes? What are some of the transition throughout their lifetime? Like I am in my early 30s, I knew for the fact that what people used to spend in buying fish in my early childhood time compared to now cannot be compared. The number of people engaged in running their own fish business in Gunjur cannot be compared to now. So this is where we want to look at all those checks and balances. This is where we analyze. This is where we need to assess. So if you're looking at things from economic point of view, because the fish minister's agreement was, we have fish mill companies in Mauritania, we have fish mill companies in Dakar. But if you come from economic perspective, I am doing international development economics right now, has my second master's program, not only on social policy. What the advice is, you have to support your infant industries. Developing countries should not be at the expense of developed countries because they're going to run what is exploitation. Developing countries need to run industrialization. We need to say, how can we empower our own people to move from that at least, small scale business to move at least the service economy? How can we provide an essential service for our own people? If the Gambian fishermen, they complain on they don't have the market, how can the Gambian government create a market for them? How can the Gambian government create a connectivity for them from the fishing communities to other parts of the country whereby they can run their distribution? How can we provide them with credit facilities whereby we can empower them of not running small scale fish business in the country, but they can have at least from medium sized or large size corporations in the country to employ Gambian people? Because
Omar,
economic evaluation in the country is only some few Gambian people. This is the hard fact, whether people accept it or not. This is the hard fact. It's only some few people who are at the higher level of the ladder that are enjoying from this corporation here. But average Gambian people who used to previously benefit from the fish business in the country, the fish in Gunjur, in Karton, in Sanya, used to go all the way to the provinces of the country. So this is where they base their assessment and their evaluation on.
Just 1 minute. The guy who took the video is actually Barrow Youth, NPP supporter. Maybe that guy is, he think probably we are giving Barrow government a bad name, but the minister should know better. But that's the sad part of Gambia. You are talking about the economics, the exploitation side, and how the locals are being denied the source of protein. And how locals who made it in the fishing industry, how their life is been negatively impact on. The minister should know that. It
Well,
doesn't matter if
that's one potential thing the way I analyzed that video. But the other sad story was like, okay, this is a potential political party, which means if they happen to come into the power, their main target is they're going to at least, reveal their grievance against people who are trying to protect the government's environmental resources. We have looked at, how in some part of Costa Rica, in some part of, Malaysia, in some, even in Malaysia, some part of Guatemala, some part of Brazil, how environmentalist lives are being subjected to certain kind of danger with the government. So this means it's not about politics, but this was like how I was able to analyze from security perspective also. So which means if this guy is trying to create a division between the government and the Gambian folks trying to address these issues down there, which means if there are a party in waiting to rule the Gambian people, they're gonna potentially go after Gambian people, arresting them for at least creating awareness about some of these issues.
Yeah. Yeah, that is sad part. So, guys, our when you're online viewers, this is not today. We talk about everything here. Politics. This is not about politics. Today is World Ozone Day. But what we want Gambian people to understand, what we are facing in the Gambia, environmental degradation and also the Chinese investment. It's about time we all join in the debate. We cannot leave this to the hand of our environmentalists because we've seen these sycophants, the political sycophants, start their war trying to drive a wedge between the government and the environmental activists. Eventually this is going to cause conflict. So we are at crossroad as a nation. We Gambia, we are a small country. What order the sub order countries can absorb, we can't. If sea level should rise even half of a meter, we are in serious trouble. And already we are struggling to supply the country the fish protein. This is more beneficial to us than the other animal proteins, but it's all been taken away. And the minister confirmed in that video that the Chinese, what they do, they will contract these people. So if they go out of fish, they don't catch anything. That means the money is owed to the Chinese. So when they go and supply them. If there is anything left, they sell it to the locals. If there is nothing left, then that's it. So basically, Gambians are being priced out of their own resources. That cannot continue. We have to challenge President Barrow government for that. And to do that is everybody's business. That's my take. Omar, what do you have for your final word?
Well, for my final word, I think governments, civil society organizations, individuals in the community, we all have a role to play. It's either you champion an environmental cause or you support the people that are at the forefront trying to raise awareness. Because what happens in Gunjut, what happens in Khartoum, what happens in Brufut, and all these coastal communities in the country affect somebody in the rural part of the Gambia where that fish, that bunker fish, that tilapia fish, that local fish being cut in Gunjut happen to usually end up on their dinner table. So this is where the whole thing goes. If coastal communities in the Gambia happen to experience a high impact in terms of sea level rise, in terms of coastal erosion, is your own people, it's the Gambian people who are going to go down there to suffer. It's the Gambian government who is going to at least not spend money trying to work on an adaptation program, trying to deal with that disaster management in those communities too. So if you look at things from ocean perspective here, we need to protect our ocean resources. They are supposed to be sustainable fisheries management programs in all the coastal communities in the Gambia. We need to empower the local fishermen in the Gambia. We give them a credit facility. We provide them with the infrastructure, provide them with the connectivity, and as well as provide them with the right knowledge that they need. Let Gambian schools from junior high school, senior high school, primary school start teaching Gambian people about fisheries resources management, because in the Gambia, our economy is based on three major industries. It's tourism, agriculture, and fisheries. So tourism right now is very subjected to international pressures. So, if you talk about, the current COVID-19, who knows when Gambia tourism industry is going to bounce back. But right now, if we are able to focus our economic activities on agriculture and as well as on fisheries management, then the Gambia can also drive a huge economic potential from the management and conservation of our ocean resources. How can we do that one? We have to incentivize, provide loans, credit facilities, money to our own Gambian people to establish their own business. We have to educate the younger generation so that at least they can realize the potential economic importance of protecting these resources. because they are going to feature decision makers, they're going to feature policy makers, and if they don't know about the potentials, what is going to happen, they're going to mortgage the future of the country in terms of the way we're going to micromanage our resources. So it's very important. If we want to give license to people, let's not only conduct an environmental impact assessment, let's also conduct at least the social assessment, because right now, if you go to most of the coastal communities in the Gambia, there's a higher contention, there's a higher debate, whereby people in communities, they have the so-called pro, development-oriented supported people, and you have the so-called perceived people who are anti-development in those countries here. So most of the coastal communities in the Gambia, within the three countries, the Kakadon, Gunjur, and Sanya, you realize that people who are support of all these industries down there, you'll see people who are portrayed that there are people who doesn't want this kind of development here. So those kind of things, they break down the social fabric of unity in those communities too. And these are all things that will be very sensitive in terms of giving license to some of the corporations that are going to give at least a breakdown towards the social structure and hierarchy in these communities.
Yeah, Omar, thank you very much. So my new proposal is Tuesdays are going to be dedicated to environment. Inshallah, next week, Famara Dampha will come and present. And I apologize again. Actually, yesterday I copied this just to send it to you. I forgot completely.
Yeah.
That's why you don't receive the link in time. But to our viewers, we say tomorrow we are continuing with our daily COVID-19 updates. And inshallah, on Thursday, Ben Suare will come here again. And on Mondays, it's all dedicated to Combo, the land issue and other issues, confronting the people of Combo will be discussed here. Thank you once again for your time. And okay, one more announcement. I just heard that there is a forced rain arrived in Gambia and Gunjur today. There was a small drizzle. So all you people watching, please, take it to yourself and plant a tree, either in front of your compound or somewhere in your compound. But we should all try and plant a tree, just a tree. I'm going to support some coconut seedlings. I'm going to give it to kids to plant at Gunjur Beach. So we all can do something about our environment. Our remaining forest cover is under serious threat, and we should all stand up and be counted and protect our country, because at the end of the day, we are the people that are going to be affected. Thank you once again for your listening. We appreciate your time. Please share the video as well. Allah Barak.
Blessed with the mighty Atlantic Ocean, fertile agricultural lands, and a strategic geographic location that gives an opportunity for a lot of people to explore and get into the business. Gunjur and the Gambia at large has experienced numerous shutdowns when it comes to economy, and especially this COVID time. Please join us as we embark on a journey where we explore different areas of our business sector, from agriculture, fisheries, and small business enterprises. Gunjur Business is in short called Gunjur Biz. This will be a platform that we will use to explore different business opportunities, especially for young people. We'll bring you on Gunjur Online all the business topics that is related to financing, operations marketing. And we will use this platform to invite experts from different sectors of the Gambian economy and give tips and have a broader analysis of the general business sector. This will give us an opportunity to be able to discuss in a broader detail how businesses are affected when it comes to our environment, our natural resources being exploited by other people, but also how we can tap into the opportunities and also access capital, which is very crucial for the success of the businesses. But not only that, we won't stop at accessing capital. You know what else we're going to do? It's about the little operational processes that are needed in our business culture to build up cultures that's going to be successful. And that's going to be, most importantly, what? It's going to be sustainable for the success of the business. So we can transfer wealth. We can also transfer skills from one person to another to be able to live in a community that is thriving, a community that businesses, private sector, individual businesses nurture entrepreneurship and reward them. So please join me every week on Gunju Online as we delve into all these areas of discussions when it comes to business success. This is your host, Omar of Gunju Online. Thank you for joining us.